Welcome to Bump Set Chat, the podcast where volleyball professionals come on and share their stories, experiences, and advice. Today, from the Columbus Fury, I have Jill Gillen. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so glad you're here. All right, so first of all, the way we start things off is with 3 random questions. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so you're coming home after a long trip away. What home-cooked meal are you looking forward to the most?
My mom's spaghetti.
All right. Can you share some of the secret stuff that may be in this, mom's spaghetti?
No meatballs, just a meat sauce and some Tabasco sauce as well.
Oh, Tabasco sauce. Little kick.
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
In there too.
Oh.
So pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a kick.
All right. Okay, second question. Favorite movie?
The Dark Knight.
Okay. I have to share with you, I had Coach Ulmer from Oregon on, and he completely caught me off guard with his favorite movie. It was Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, I had to share that because it was just so bizarre. All right, third question. You're hitting the road. What's on your playlist?
Right now it's Like That by Metro Boomin, I think, in Future. But I just like the beat that it has because it kind of makes me laugh. And I've been putting it on my story, like whenever my friends do something cool, just to be like, yeah, they're like that. So
excellent. All right. So welcome to the podcast. Congrats on signing with Columbus Fury. I just saw that today.
Yes, I'm super, super excited about that.
Absolutely. So, and moving now, is that closer to home?
Yeah. So it's a close 10-hour drive as opposed to my 20-hour drive to Orlando. So yeah, it is closer to home.
Excellent. All right. So where are you from?
I'm from Kansas City, Kansas.
Excellent. And, when did you discover volleyball?
So my mom actually played volleyball and my dad played basketball. And I thought basketball was the coolest thing out there. I thought for sure I was going to play basketball. Wanted to, even at one point in middle school, was like, I'm going to play college basketball. I was terrible at basketball. I was bad. I was really bad, actually. But I wasn't that much better at volleyball, but I had convinced myself, like, I hate this. Like, It's not fun. And at that point in time, I was actually tall for my age. My entire family is tall, by the way. Not many people know that. My dad's 6'4", my one brother's 6'5", my other brother's 6'3", and my mom's 5'11". So I got the short end of the stick on the genetics, literally. And so anyways, my mom kept forcing me to play, and I didn't want to play, and I would complain about it all the time. And then, like, literally, I think it was my 14th year, I was on this 3-team from 12th grade to my 14th year. And one day I was playing middle. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, I'm kind of hitting these balls hard and I can actually see what I'm doing. Because I had started jump training and things like that. And at first I was just doing it because it was a team requirement. And then kind of my team was filtering out and I was the only one that stayed. And the rest is history with that. So
yeah, because I saw a video. As I was doing my homework for this, I saw a video where you were talking about that you didn't like volleyball at all. It was,
No. Yeah, I told my mom I hated it, but she kept making me play. And it's funny now looking back. Wasn't so funny at the time, but yeah, now it's a pretty funny joke that we have.
Yeah, and I heard she had probably the best volleyball advice for you. That at your height, you shouldn't be playing middle.
Yeah. So that's where mom playing volleyball was super, super helpful. Because, in club, like, you don't know how many kids are really going to stay interested in things like that. And I think after that 14th year, I was starting to get recruited by other clubs around the city, and she's like, okay, I'm sorry, but like she has to play outside and she has to be all the way around because she is not going to grow. So like we need some support on this, any team that will take us at that. And so I moved up to a 2s team my freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
And then my 16th year is when I got recruited and finally found my way to a 1 team and got to do it all. So yeah.
Nice. And you were much happier playing on the outside?
Oh yes. So when we would get stuck and like stuck in a rotation and we needed a point, they would flip me to the outside. And they
Okay.
would make our outside play middle for a few points, which is pretty interesting. And I was an all-around middle. So it's like, okay, so just make me an outside.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, all these years later, what is the hook volleyball has on you that you're playing professionally now?
I think for me, I don't know, like it just makes me feel really powerful. I think that media is actually pretty bad for like young kids growing up with volleyball
Yeah.
because the game is so imperfect
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a perfectionist. And that's bad when your game is an imperfect game and you score on other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's just something about getting over that perfectionism and just accepting like, hey, some things are just not gonna work out the way that you want it to. And I think it's actually taught me a ton of life lessons in that way and taught me to be way more patient with myself. I'm sure many people would say I'm still not that patient, which I am not, but definitely steps above what I originally was.
Yeah.
And I think too, this just continuous learning, like I'm not ready to be done. I think for a lot of people, it was like, okay, well, you've done so much and way more than what other people would have ever expected out of you. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And I've met those goals, which is cool. But volleyball for me has always been like, what's the next thing? So you meet this goal and it's like, okay, what's the next thing that I can do? And kind of this continuous thing where I can strive for goals. And I think that's why I'm so hooked on it and I can still keep getting better. I'm 23
Yeah.
and I still have some time to go. So
Yeah. There are a few
yeah,
things
I
on
just
that.
love it.
Volleyball, first of all, like, like you're saying, it's not a there's no perfection. The only part of the game you have control over is your serve. Everything else
Yeah.
you've got to rely on the pass, the setter, and there's just so many aspects of it. It's tough to
Yeah.
be have that perfect moment, and
Yeah.
it's not, and
And
it's a sport.
serving still isn't perfect.
And it's a sport you learn through your life, like you'll
Yeah.
go play anywhere and you'll pick up somebody, somebody who may be 40 or 50 pulls off some shot. It's like, okay, let me add that to the
Yes.
toolbox.
Yes, exactly. That's like going into the professional world. I was like, whoa, like how are you cutting that without completely ripping your arm out of its socket? And can you teach me? Would you be okay teaching me that? So yeah, that's been the cool part of professional for sure.
Yeah, especially like, from my understanding, the Orlando locker room you were a part of, there was, you have, kids like yourself, not your kid, but 23 up to, 40 and people from all over
Mm-hmm.
the world. And everybody has little different aspects of the game that they can, share and you can learn from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had Audi in there and she was such a great resource and super helpful to me in my time in Orlando.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she
Nice.
was awesome.
And going back to club for a second, how important was club to your development of being able to get to that next level of playing D1 and now professionally?
So, that's actually a funny question because I did a camp about 3 weeks ago and I saw this outside. She was 16 and I was like, man, she is so good. Like, I have no idea what I looked like at 16. So my friend and I went and I looked at my like 16-year-old clip I put together and I was like, man, like I was bad. Like I was bad. So I texted my college coach and I was like, dude, I don't even know how you saw any potential in that kid, you know? Like it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean like I was good in club because I could hit the ball really hard. I had no finesse. I had no shots. I had no true ball control. I mean, I passed, but not nearly the way that I've learned in college and now
Yeah.
professional. I mean, there's so many things I didn't know because people didn't tell me, because it was like, you can hit it hard and score points. Like you can hit it through the block and score points in
Right.
club. But when you first get to college, it's like, whoa, what do you mean tooling the block? Like, why isn't it going between them like that? How do I even do that? So yeah, I wasn't a super skilled club player, I would say. I was definitely more of an athlete than I was a good volleyball player at that point in time. I'll say that.
Yeah. And now, you finished high school, college was next. What made you end up going to Arkansas? What was that recruiting process like?
My recruiting process was, you had one offer, so that's where you're going. I mean, that's just one of those things where like, it just, everything made sense. Like, even though it was the only option, everything just made sense. And when you know, and, I told him straight up, like, I do not want to pass. Like, I hope you're not recruiting me to pass, because I do not want to do that. Like, that just takes away so much from my game. I love to hit. That's my favorite part. Even now I'm like, oh, when can I get back to the front row? Like all those things. Right before I was going to commit, I ended up getting another offer from a small D1. And at that point, it was just too late. I had always wanted to go as big as possible while still getting to do what I loved. And education was super important, but Arkansas still had all the resources. So, yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Nice. And speaking of education, what did you go to Arkansas for?
Yeah, so I have my undergraduate degree in marketing, and I am two classes away from getting my MBA.
Wow, excellent.
So I actually, once the COVID year happened, I knew I wanted to take my 5th year at Arkansas. So I was going to apply for the MBA program in the spring, but they didn't have that. They needed to enroll me in the fall because it's a 2-year program. So my senior year, I did the accelerated program where you're finishing your undergrad and starting your MBA. So I did my first year of the MBA my senior season, and then my COVID year season, I was just doing the MBA.
Okay, very cool. And now, pardon my ignorance on the whole recruiting process. So at 16, they came out and here's your offer. And now, as a 16-year-old, that's got to be a tough thing to take. Okay, what if I don't like this a year from now? What was that like?
I didn't feel that at all.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, when all else fails and it feels like your world is falling apart, that things happen for a reason. And so to me, that was just one of those things. Like, this is happening for a reason. There's a reason why this would be my only real offer. And, there's a reason why I'm here with this coach in this room having this conversation. Obviously, I didn't know that at that point in time in my life. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't worried about it. There was one moment where I got a little scared about it, and my mom, because I was like, wait, like, what am I doing? Nothing against the school or anything, but it was just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm about to go. I'm a senior. Like, what is going on? And she kind of said the same thing, like, this is happening for a reason. You chose them for a reason. They believe in you, and, vice versa. So, like, don't worry so much about this. So yeah, I have no regrets in that area at all.
And going back to, the coach's decision to give you that full ride, after it's all done, you're an All-American. I was like, hey, there you go.
Yeah, that was a goal in the works for a while. And I don't know, like, him giving me the chance since I was a freshman. yeah, I honestly can't say enough nice things about
Yeah.
Jason. Forever indebted to
Yeah.
him for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, something else I picked up on, one of the videos I watched about you. You talked about, sort of being careful of that recruiting process. As a sort of a shorter hitter, you don't get roped into, oh yeah, you'll hit, but no, then all of a sudden spinning you into a DS.
Yes. Yeah. I think I think you can kind of smell it though if they're saying, you know, in your phone conversations with them. But to be honest, like I never had those conversations because the club coach that I had would straight up tell people she's not going to pass.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to pass, I mean, he would still give me um he would give me their cards.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't respond if he said this person wants you for like a DS position.
Right.
And what is funny is that Jason's old player was an assistant coach at ASU at the time. And I had no idea of all this, but she gave me a card and I'm pretty tight with her now. But she gave me a card and I never picked up the phone because I was like, they don't want me to hit.
Right.
Like, no, I'm not doing it. So that was pretty funny looking back and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So
And do you remember what that first year was like? What were some of the challenges for that, that freshman year?
oh yeah. So I mean, one, I was super excited and stoked to have the opportunity to play, but I had no tools in my toolkit. And I wasn't as good a passer as some of these other people, but I was playing all the way around. So yeah, I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard also at that point in time. We were shifting around athletes, Jason's finally bringing in some people that he's gotten to recruit. We were his first recruiting class,
okay.
I think, that he got to, or full recruiting class that he got to bring into Arkansas. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just hard because you still had people who loved their old coach and some people that weren't so focused on volleyball at that, point in their life. It was just kind of something that they did. And
oh, wow. That's got to be tough, because here you are at a D1 level and people aren't really bought into it.
Yeah, that was hard. And especially like the way I compete is very intense. And, I think I felt this way my first year professionally as well, of not really saying what I want to say all the time. I definitely felt that my freshman year, just because I was trying to learn, like I'm trying to understand, and you have to get your teammates to trust you, because once they trust you, you can kind of not get on them in a mean way, but say, hey, I know you've got that ball. Like you can pick that up on the next one.
Yeah.
And they will respond well. But what I noticed that freshman year, like if you start getting on people and they don't trust you or respect you, it's just going to lead to a big clash. So I kind of kept my mouth shut that year. And that was hard because I'm competing as hard as I possibly could, but I felt like I couldn't really say much. And just with the personnel, was certainly encouraged by friends and family and coaches to say something, but I just wanted to kind of observe first and see how I can help those specific teammates.
Yeah. And now that first year, were you starting or were you coming off the bench as more of a role player?
I was starting.
Okay. So that's got to add a little complexity to it as well, because here, obviously you want the best players on the court, but some people may have egos hurt. All of a sudden, here's a freshman making, a senior or a sophomore sit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was hard, but I mean, my other freshman counterpart was also playing the other outside. So it's kind of like, okay, like we're just gonna go play, and whatever happens, it's gonna happen. And obviously trying to win, but like we're just trying to put the ball down. Everybody else, I hope you can take care of your business.
Right.
Because we weren't really leaders then. Yeah. And again, like I was just swinging to swing. Like I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, cool. I had like 25 kills. sweet. But I never looked at like my 15 airs. Like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And now you guys played in a tough conference too, right? You're in the SEC?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
you had some big schools you were going up against.
Yeah, that was yeah, my first time playing Florida was definitely like, what am I doing? I remember like I probably got roofed like 7, 8 times, and I finished that game and I was talking to my family and I was like, oh my God, like I'm sorry you guys had to see that. I'm sorry that you came all the way down here to see that, you know, like I just felt so bad and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But I mean, those are just things that come with time. So instead of hitting right into the block, now I know how to tool that big block.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And now looking back at your time in Arkansas, what were some of the highlights?
I mean, the number one is beating Kentucky to go to the Elite Eight. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I think my time at Arkansas was so rewarding because each year we kept getting better. It was never up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, certainly there were games that felt like that. And but each year it was just kind of this steady increase. We had my freshman year, we weren't in the running for the tournament, but my sophomore and junior year, we were in the running and the first 4 out 2 years in a row.
Okay.
So you see that and you're just like, what? Like, what are we missing? Like, just because we lost one game, our third game of the season, you know, because of this RPI and whatever this means. So I didn't start digging into any of that stuff until I realized that that played a big part of getting into the tournament. So yeah, I think that's why it's so rewarding, is to bring a program from zero and, you know, bring it to heights that it's never seen. We have never been to the Elite Eight.
Right.
Ever. We are technically the best team in Arkansas volleyball history. And that is pretty rewarding.
Yep, absolutely. That's very cool. And now if you could go back to, you know, freshman Jill, knowing what all you know now, what advice would you have for her?
Relax. Relax. Like, it's gonna work out. Like, you know, I think I don't know. I think it was just hard coming into that environment and trying to figure out who I was as a person, but also a player at that point in time. But again, like, I'm just living with this feeling of things work out and they happen for a reason. And even though you have one bad game, that doesn't mean that you're a bad player. And you're not a bad player because you put the work in every single day. And I think that's where my confidence stems from now. Like, I work really, really hard. So even though I have a bad game, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Even though still today, there's moments that it feels like it's the end of the world. But if I can, you know, get my crap together for a second and, you know, calm myself down, that's what I normally reflect on.
All right. And now, now that you've had a few months away from college, you know, what advice do you have for those seniors for next year?
Oh my gosh. Just enjoy every second. And I know that's what everybody says and it's so cliche, but I truly loved every game that I had, even though there were some crappy performances from myself that I would still like freak out about. And it's like, why? Just take a breath and enjoy this moment with these people, because you're not going to get it back, you know? So yeah, just stay present.
Yeah.
Stay present. That was our big thing for our team. To stay present. So
excellent. And to the coaches, what would you say to the coaches? Now you've got, you know, full year pro under your belt. You got some, you know, worldly, you know, experience. What advice or words do you have for them?
I mean, for my coaches personally, I had nothing because they were the perfect, like, obviously nobody's perfect, but for me, they were the most perfect coaching staff that I could have had for my last season. But overall, to the coaches, I think what's really important and that what people can lose sight of is, love these kids. I think with the transfer portal and everything, it's easy to go in and out, but if you take in a kid, just love them and truly try to do what's best for them. And I mean, it can get hard. It can get hard in college sports, especially with NIL picking up. But if you do that, they and you will have a really great experience.
Yeah.
And relationships that last forever.
Yeah, definitely. And now what are you going to miss most about college?
Oh, I'm going to miss playing in Barnhill and playing with my friends. Yeah, I loved that, especially this year. We had the biggest crowds we've ever seen, and
The fans showed up.
They certainly did. Yeah, it was awesome. So I could have never imagined that my freshman year.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
Excellent.
I loved everybody else in my class, and love the people out there with me fighting every day.
And then, speaking of, your team, who was the joker? Who was the one on your team that, a serious moment, serious things going on, but it needed to be cracked? Who was that person going to make you guys laugh?
So for me, most of my college career, I would say Gracie Ryan. But since Gracie wasn't here, it is definitely, at least for my last year, it was definitely Maggie Cartwright, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. And now that you're free of all the coaches and the practices and the drills, what was the drill you hated the most?
So we actually don't really do drills. All we did at Arkansas was play.
Oh, wow.
So I loved practice every single day. Like, I loved going into practice knowing that I was just going to get to play volleyball for the next 2 hours. And I didn't have to worry about a drill that I hated.
Excellent.
There was one time, though, where we had, like, just maxed out. I think it was either, like, squat or deadlift or something. But I was so mad. And I think I told Jason after, I was so mad because we had just done that, and then we did Scramble, which is actually very fun, but it was like a big Scramble game. It was like Scramble to 15. And we don't just scramble, like, we throw those balls. So we are sprinting like the whole time and transitioning and back. And if you have a long rally, you don't get a break because next ball's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had just maxed out and did that. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, we never need to do this again. Like, whatever. But yeah, Scramble is actually pretty fun under the right circumstances.
Right. And what is Scramble for those that don't know?
So you'll serve, I think it was, and then whoever wins off that serve gets a scramble ball. So they'll throw it.
Oh,
and we actually renamed it, or like they'll throw it in the net and whatever. But we had this assistant coach named Ram, short for Ramatowski. And she came in the gym like her first, semester in the gym with us and was throwing these balls. So we renamed it Ramble. So when we said Scramble, like, Scramble's easier. But we were playing Ramble, and that is not easy. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
And that, when college was done, was going pro a no-brainer? That was on your list to do regardless, or what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always had it in the back of my mind that that's what I wanted to do, but I think it was like the end of September, October, where I was like, okay, I can't stop playing. So I asked Jason what he thought, if he could help me out or knew anybody that I could start talking to about playing professionally. And he had mentioned this league that was starting in the US. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Like, that's very cool. and kind of left it at that, because in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, there's no chance. Like, everybody's going to want to come back and play in the US,
Right.
so whatever. So I thought I was going to have to go international for a really long time, probably until about 2 weeks up until the draft
Wow.
is when I realized, okay, like I could stay here and play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because that first year that was like a draft of the college players, and so when did you find out that you got picked?
so we man, it was a crazy weekend. So we had just lost in Nebraska to Nebraska, flew back Sunday. I'm crying because my career's over. And then Monday morning, I got a phone call that was like, okay, you're drafted, yay. And then I actually got traded. So
Oh, shoot.
that was also crazy. Got traded within the hour. So, but yeah, no, it was a quick turnaround. Thankfully, I didn't get to think about it too much because I was mourning the end of my
Yes.
collegiate career and times with friends. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
And now, how did like sort of that next step? Did you just go end up in Orlando sort of practicing and training, or was there like an overall practice, all the college athletes got together and sort of they, played together there?
No, we were just basically I went to Orlando and did training camp with them. Made it through training camp and found myself playing the first game. So yeah, that was insane. I was like feeling so anxious before that match and like I was gonna puke, but
Oh,
it
God.
ended up being fine. It was fun.
First game in a first team, first league. You've never had any video of who you're playing against, really. So how do you,
Yeah.
how do you even prepare for that?
Well, I think for the first match, it was just kind of, I mean, Atlanta had played before us, so we had a little bit of film
Oh,
on
okay.
them, and but I think probably for them to us, it was like, we don't know what we're gonna see out there.
Right.
So it was kind of just like, hey, just go play.
Yeah.
Just, go do your job.
Nice. And did you know any of the people on the Orlando team before you got there?
I knew a Johnny Teeler, because she played at Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we actually played each other for a very long time throughout club. And I always had the most respect for her. And she's a feisty competitor. So when you're playing her, you don't like her. But as soon as you come off the court, you can't help but love her.
Yeah. Excellent.
So
And now, what was that level of play? Was on par with what you were playing in college, now at the professional level, or was it sort of that next level?
I think it was that next level. I mean, we ran a fairly quick offense at Arkansas because, we're all under 5'10". So we had to be fast. And I think even the setting was a lot faster. I remember getting in the gym and I was like, whoa, like I feel like I'm behind. Ended up going early like I always do is what it ended up being, but I felt like I was so behind. So yeah, I thought the level was definitely increased.
Yeah. And what surprised you the most over that first season?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I had a lot going on. I was still in school, figuring out my professional career
Yeah.
and trying to get information from these vets, like, hey, what can I do? And how can I hit this specific shot? And what do you see here? How can I manage this ball better and things like that? I think it was more so like managing relationships and communicating.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my freshman year of college, I wasn't so great at that. I felt similar in this environment because I've been playing with the same people
Right.
for 5 years. I passed next to the same people at Arkansas for 3 straight years. We did not have to talk about seams or talk about who was getting that ball. Like we knew who was getting that ball every single time and,
Right.
what to do and things like that. So that was definitely different and figuring that out. And yeah, so I think that's just shown me how important it is to communicate well with your teammates and effectively. Again, I mean, we know that that's crucial, but just kind of reiterated it after taking it probably a little for granted how good it was at Arkansas.
Right. Well, also, the locker room probably was totally night and day because you have people in different stages of their life too, versus the college locker room. I hear from a lot of the college players that I've had on, that was their favorite part of college, just the locker room, the environment was, and then, talking to players that have went on and play pro, the pro locker room is, it's a lot different. People have got their day-to-day thing that they do with their families, and everybody's in different stages of their life.
Yeah, it was totally different. And like, just seeing someone like Audi in the locker room is crazy. She has all this experience and she's at a completely different point in her life than I am in mine. So that was a huge difference for sure.
And then looking back on that first year, what were some of the highlights for you that you look back like that was fun?
Yeah, I mean, just playing. I love to play. I was surrounded by a great team. Like the people were just fabulous.
Yeah.
I have some really great friends I've met on that team, and I hope to continue to have for the rest of my life. So, we kind of went through it all together, and so yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
Excellent. And now I just recently learned that, after that first year, everybody sort of got, everybody's getting a new start. And then, seeing today that you signed with Columbus. How excited are you?
Yeah, I'm very excited to head to Columbus. I think it's going to be a really good fit, actually. And just excited to go to work. Yeah.
Do you know are you familiar with any of the players that are going to be over there?
Yes. I don't want to say anybody's name
that's fine.
until they're announced, but yes, there's one particular player that I've been following for a long time, and she's a baller.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get to play with her finally. I've watched her throughout my whole career, so yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. And now, let's talk about the game itself. Do you have any pregame rituals or certain things you do before the game?
No, but I mean, I do my hair and I throw my scrunchie in. So I like to listen to music and get ready during that time.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it comes to like locker room time, not really.
Yeah.
I just kind of sit there and stare and think. And sometimes that's not the best thing to do. So what I actually started implementing towards the end of the season was just like kind of breathing and meditating.
Yeah.
And I would feel really silly, but it actually helped a ton. And that's what I did before my first game. I had to go to the bathroom. Like I was freaking out.
Oh no.
And I had to go to the bathroom and like just breathe. And it helped so much. So I'm going to start implementing that. Because I still get pre-game jitters.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And now, some people are very particular about the shoes they play in. Are you? What are your current shoes you like to play?
Yes, this is a good question. Because I am a little superstitious. So at Arkansas, I would never wear. They would give us a white shoe, and they would give us a red shoe. I'm not wearing that red shoe. I'm never wearing that red shoe ever. But now I might bring it back out.
Okay.
Because now I'm not at Arkansas and I'm dabbling in the colored shoes. So I went to Orlando and I wore those shoes and that I wore at Arkansas, and I was like, okay, well, these are falling apart. So I got some other shoes. Those started to fall apart within like 3 weeks.
Oh no.
And then I was like, okay, I need to switch it up. Like, I need to switch things up. I need to get some color in my life. Like, whatever shoe I'm in doesn't mean crap. Like, I can wear what I want and it's not going to change anything because I practice every day. Like why would that change anything?
Yeah.
So I got these white, yellow, and blue shoes, which I loved. They were actually really cool. And then, I had these like solid baby blues that I would wear with our blue and white jersey sometimes. So yeah, I like that. But yeah, now I'm thinking I got a nice pair of red shoes I've never worn, and
Time to
I
bust
might
them
bring
out.
those out. Yeah.
Absolutely. With the red scrunchie, right?
Yes, I have to bring my red scrunchie out of retirement. I still have it. She's ready to go.
Awesome. And now, any advice for those college players that are going to be jumping into the PVF next year?
Yeah, I mean, just understanding, it is still volleyball and it's still fun, but it's different because, I mean, it is your job now. And just because it's your job doesn't mean you can't have fun and all
Right.
these things, but again, like you have to learn how to manage all these different people of all these different ages, and they're going to react completely different than you're used to players your age reacting to something. And you kind of just have to have that conversation with them like, hey, I don't really respond well to this. If you were to put it like this, I would probably take that a little bit better. And, they're pretty understanding of that. And, they won't understand if you're offended by something because they figure, that's how people react.
Right.
And that's fine. Everybody has a different way of dealing with it. So just being able to communicate, make sure you're ready for that because it will be different. It's still fun. It's still volley. You're still going to love it, but it's just going to be a little bit different.
All right. Cool. Now, I got a couple of questions, one from a coach and one from a player, high school coach. She wants to know, what are some of the little things that have helped you learn to be a better blocker?
To be quite honest with you, I don't think I'm a very good blocker. I don't think I have the right eye work, the right, arm movement. I press late. So I get up there and then I press. I'm not pressing in one motion.
Yeah.
But the thing that's helped the most is just like being able to time it and getting my eyes on the right thing. Like, how quickly can I read the setter and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and just getting your hands around like has made such a difference. So they can't tool that outside hand because my outside hand gets tooled far more than I would like. But yeah, I think just all those little bits and pieces has helped, even though I'm not a perfect blocker.
Okay. And now from a high school senior, what drills or techniques did you find most effective improving your hitting accuracy and power?
I mean, again, like we didn't really have a lot of drills. I mean, even in club, I would say my last year we mostly just played. I can't even remember the drills that we did, but I think the power and speed of my arm, like part of it is just kind of naturally the way it moves, but part of it is definitely the time I've spent in the weight room.
Yeah.
Because I spend a lot of time there. So I would contribute it to that, but also like just playing and working through things. If my practice is full of playing, I can still have goals for the day. They just have to be specific goals that I know I'm working on. And when it doesn't work, I have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So if I decide, okay, because we used to call it SAP at Arkansas. So my single achievable perfection, which like it still wasn't perfection, but that's just what we called it. So if my goal for the day was to go crossbody line, and somebody picked up on it and blocked me, I can't get mad about that. I would still get mad about that, but you can't get mad about that because you're just, that's what you're doing. You're working on this. They can go up, your teammates can go up, read the board and go, she's working on crossbody line. I'm working on my blocking. So let me just,
Yeah.
But also writing that down and actually doing it. I see a lot of players be like, I want to work on my cut shot today. And then their shoulders and arm go down the line every single time.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you working on your cut shot?
Right.
Like, I'm here to help you work on your cut shot, but you're not working on that cut shot. So it's just kind of holding yourself accountable in that way. I think just having a goal to go into practice with is always good.
I like that. And now, my question to you, you're known for your jumping, your leaping ability. What were there certain exercises you really found helped, really improve the vertical, or just overall it was just, that's what you worked on?
Yeah, I get some questions too asking me if it's like natural. No. I mean, my parents are athletic, but they're not that athletic. They both had pretty good verticals, but I don't think it got passed down similar to the height.
Yeah.
So, I think I was just athletic to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I had my 8th grade year and I started going to the gym, and that has completely changed my life. If I had not started going to the gym and, doing all those things, I would not be where I am. But also, I didn't go to the gym immediately and start squatting 350 pounds or something crazy.
Right.
I went to the gym and did the basics, and I had these guys, my gym at home, actually, I still work with them. It's been a decade about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they still write my programs specific to me and specific to my position and specific to jumping because they know I need it. And yeah, so they've just always had my back in that way. And they started me with probably every basic exercise,
Yeah.
but incorporated some plyos as well. So that really helped. I think a lot of kids focus on like, ooh, I need to jump high on the jump box and then I'm gonna jump higher.
Right.
Like, no, you have to build a foundation first.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's great if you can jump on the jump box, but you need a foundation so you can continue to increase that height on the jump box. So
yeah. Excellent. Yeah. The other thing I noticed with a lot of the hitters that are trying to be a better hitter, they don't do the full arm swing, and that's so important. And then the get low and just all combined together is really where you really get a good chunk of your height.
yes, my coach or my Arkansas coach, he actually like can't stand my arms because there's so much going on. And he tried to coach that out of me my freshman year, and I tried so hard and it felt so awkward. And he's like, it doesn't matter, like you're still gonna jump the same. And I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Like I don't feel like I'm jumping the same. And so he kind of gave up on that.
Oh,
He's
good.
like, okay, whatever. That's not gonna change her accuracy and efficiency and things like that, But I mean, maybe there's some secret there. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I have some crazy arms, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
To get myself loaded pretty well. So
excellent. And now, if you had a couple of bad plays, what do you do to reset or help you push through?
yeah, so especially in college, especially this past year, and even a little bit in professional. So Jason and Susie liked Ted Lasso, so they talked about being a goldfish.
Yep.
And staying present was our thing. So like, let's say I have a couple bad plays, and I'm kind of just waiting to the timeout to like breathe and then talk to them. And so I'd go up to Jason and be like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And he'd just be like, stay present. I'm like, oh, like, are you serious?
But you're really dropping that on me now.
I know, but it's so like, it's so true. If I can just refocus and get back into it, if I don't let myself spiral, I can get back into it and I can save my brain from going down this rabbit hole of whatever and, harming the team. So if I can just stay present and reset and trust in my ability, then I can do whatever my team needs me to do in that moment. Yeah. And for some people, it is taking a breath. I don't take a breath during timeout. I'm like grumpy and I want to know what I need to do. And then funny enough, I had a coach in Orlando who would tell me to be a goldfish as well. And that was helpful because it just reminded me of them and to stay present in those times.
Oh, excellent. All right, we got a fun question now. So, and this started when Eric Shoji was on. I asked, him and Taylor Averill got this thing, what's the toughest position in volleyball? So now, since then, every guest gets to answer this question. So, Jill, in your opinion, what's the toughest position in volleyball from a technical standpoint and a physical standpoint, or mental and physical?
Physically, it has to be the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the middle. They're just doing too much, transitioning a million times not to get set.
Exactly. And
You
you're pushed
know,
around.
closing the block and all those things. So physically, I would have to say the middle. Mentally, I might say the setter,
Yeah.
because they just have so much going on. I mean, ultimately, yeah, we say it depends on a pass, whatever, but having a good setter and a setter that leads too is so crucial,
Mm-hmm.
to having a good team. You know, it's kind of unspoken, you know, sometimes like if you're in a new team, whatever, you just expect a setter to lead because it's just what they do kind of naturally. It's just
Right.
the position that they're in. They're the quarterback. So yeah, they have a ton going on. I do not envy that. I'm gonna say that. And also I can't set, so
Awesome. And now, away from the volleyball court, what's some of the things you like to do?
oh, I like to read. Um, I love movies. I'm a big movie buff. I love dogs. I'm obsessed with dogs. My family actually just got a dog, which is a really big deal because we haven't had a dog in about a year.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with her. She really liked me before I left to do some volleyball camps for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's like nervous of me again, which makes me sad.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, she's great. And then my boyfriend and I have a dog together, and she's awesome. And I'm obsessed with his family dogs.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. And now, speaking of camps, how are the volleyball camps? Is that something you do every year, or something you guys just starting?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing some camps like Georgia, Carly and I where we've been doing some camps just kind of for fun.
Yeah.
And we're in the off season, we're kind of looking for things to do. And then but I went to the Air Force camp to help
Oh, nice.
coach because all their cadets are busy jumping out of airplanes and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So they don't have many people to work. And Macy, who was my assistant coach for 4 years, is now their head coach. And she asked Maggie and I to come work that. So that
Very
was a ton
cool.
of fun. That was a ton of fun.
A
So
beautiful facility out there too.
yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. There were some flyovers. I was feeling very patriotic.
Excellent. Oh, that's so cool. And now, and what's, you say you enjoy reading, favorite book? We got The Dark Knight from a movie standpoint. What was your favorite book?
Ooh, that is hard. I'm trying to think of my 5 stars because I have a Goodreads that tracks this for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the series A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Okay.
It's very popular. It's like fantasy. It's
Yeah.
whatever. And then like I would say my favorite novel is probably The Nightingale.
Okay.
It's really
Excellent.
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So now you survived the podcast. Thank you so much for doing this. But before you go, look, with past guests, I look for you to recommend somebody in your volleyball circle, your peer group, in your past. Who do you think would have a good story and should come on?
I think a Johnny Taylor would be fabulous.
Okay.
I think she has her own podcast actually that she started while she was at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's very good at that kind of stuff. And she's just one of the best people that I know. She's such a great human being. So
All right. Well, she's been called out. We'll get you to twist her around
yeah.
and we'll get her on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jill, thank you so much. Good luck next year in Columbus and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you.
Hey, she's a beauty.